Welcome back to Appalachian Dim Sum. This is month 6. This is the main course.
Yes.
Yep. Episode 16 now.
I'll take your word for it.
Since we're doing that. And we're going to be talking about?
Tremors.
Tremors. Okay, this is our main course. We also have main course food.
Yes.
And what we had for that was you made cheese waffles?
Yeah.
What do you call them?
I just call them cheese waffles. There's
Okay,
probably a word where you're just basically mixing cheese, flour, and egg and making a waffle out of it. And it's a thing that we did because of our daughter's allergy, where you can do it with gluten-free flour and still have waffles. Got into it that way, but they are actually, when you have a food that you need a method to get it to your mouth, it's a great thing to put it on, whether it's like a
good base,
apple butter, some kind of jam type thing. Is what we do with it pretty frequently, but you had something much more interesting to...
We had Buc-ee's Candied Jalapeno.
I'm 100% now a fan of that, and we'll be looking for that next time I go to a Buc-ee's.
Yeah, it was really good.
I looked at the ingredients, and it was too small for my 50-year-old eyes to see without reading glasses, and it's probably just as well that I didn't see, but it has to just be mostly sugar. But man, that was good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a bunch of corn starch or something, right?
Or corn syrup.
Syrup. Let's see. We can look at Texas Snacks website and see if it tells us. A lot of times these websites have ingredients now.
There's a very heavy syrup in it, very sugary. It almost was like a maple syrup that just had jalapenos in it or something, but it was, man, that was good. And the combo with the egg waffles, whatever you want to call them, was...
I think that put it over the top.
Yeah, a little bit of cheese. I think the recipe that we had for those things usually uses like mozzarella. All I had was extra sharp, so we just made it with extra sharp cheddar. Man, that was a good combo.
This says it's gluten free. This is Amazon. You can get them on Amazon for $20.
Yeah, it may just be completely just jalapenos and some vinegar and some sugar.
Yeah,
which is so good. I like all of those.
Ingredients: sugar, jalapeno peppers, water, vinegar, salt, something I can't read that, and spices. I can't read that last part. Is
it one of those?
Maybe onions and spices.
Yes.
So hey, it's not bad.
That was maybe not want to eat that in huge quantities because it is jalapenos.
I could see that as like if you're actually like having an actual meal. I could see that as an appetizer.
Oh yeah.
Of like 2 of those little waffles.
Little, cocktail type party where you have little things on trays.
Absolutely.
Just a plate of those little... I make them in these little... we have one little waffle iron here. Somehow or another, all our bigger stuff
is single waffle
been yard saled or maker. Lost somehow, or maybe taken to college with kids or something. I don't know at this point, but... And this little heart-shaped single waffle maker is all we have left that's functional at the house. So I had to make them one at a time. And these little, this size waffles. But that actually would be perfect to just put on a tray, put a little serving of that on there. You actually had a can of, like a Pringles can of...
Funyuns, mini Funyuns.
Little tiny mini ones.
Yeah.
Just take that, put it on top of the waffle.
Dollop of the jalapeno. Boop.
That's an Appalachian hors d'oeuvre right there.
That's Appalachian hors d'oeuvre.
That's good eating. That's you're at a fancy party if you get some stuff like that.
Some mini Funyuns and jalapenos. What?
That's highfalutin.
Well, moving on to our movie main course is Tremors. Classic film.
Yes.
When was the first time you saw Tremors? Do you remember? Was it recent? Was it a long time ago?
Like renting it from a video store in high school, I guess.
I think the first time I saw it was like on FX or something. Like it was on TV.
We eventually bought, I think because most video stores, when something would come out, they would buy 10 copies of it. And as it became less popular, they'd sell off the extra copies. We bought a used Blockbuster, or wasn't Blockbuster. There was this little thing near us called Video Vision. It was a privately owned one. We bought a VHS copy of it. Still had the little Video Vision sticker on it, so we had it at the house. And again, it was when you had limited choices for entertainment, you go back and watch your favorite stuff all the time. And I don't know how many times I've seen that movie. It's impossible to count. It's easily over 50, probably more than that. But
This is a good background movie. You can put it on, follow it like very loosely,
you jump into
doing
it.
other stuff. Yeah, watch a little bit of it.
Comes on in a hotel room. Halfway through it, you can still sit down and watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
Absolutely. Do you want to go through the basic plot, or think we're good on that?
I mean, I think the whole plot is
pretty simple.
I think everybody pretty much knows it at this point.
Yep.
That the was like a little geologist. What was her name? Rhonda. Went out doing studying on,
played by Finn Carter.
the seismographs, I guess.
She's a grad student.
Yeah.
Working on her dissertation.
And she discovers that there's things moving around or causing a lot of unusual vibrations. At the same time, you get the I hate the word bromance, the buddies.
Yeah.
Of Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon playing Val and Earl, that are just kind of handymen in the town and gonna leave this little tiny town. And it's supposed to be in Nevada. I think it's actually shot in California.
Perfection, Nevada. Yeah, I'm sure.
But they try to leave, and as they leave, they find that there's an old guy that's been cornered up on a power pole and never came down. And they go back to tell people about that. And every time they try to leave, they find somebody else that's basically been attacked by the worms. And because you don't know,
they keep getting stopped by the worms. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then they actually get stopped by the worms.
Yeah.
Bring one back to the market.
Yeah. And nice little misdirection in the movie too, that they just basically rip a tentacle off of it.
Mhm.
It grabs a hold of their truck and they rip loose, and you think that's what's after everybody, and as it gets revealed not too long after that, that's just a mouth tentacle from the actual big thing.
And I like the fact that the poster that they showed everybody is one of those mouth tentacles.
Oh yeah,
it's not the whole graboid itself; it's just one of the tentacles.
Yeah, I can vaguely remember just the surprise of watching that the first time.
Yeah.
Of like the first time you actually see what it is, it's like, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And plot wise, there's multiple ones of them. They get sort of trapped in this little tiny town. What is perfection supposed to be? Like population like 15
Sounds
or something?
like it's real. It's an old silver mine town that gets kind of fleshed out later. Yeah, and they just get assaulted by these things. They
come up with
eat
their
the
plan.
town from underneath them, pretty much.
Come up with their plan to escape and fight them, and that's the story.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's one of the most memorable scenes is the scenes where you have Val, Bert, and Rhonda. Not Bert. Fred.
Earl.
Val, Fred.
Val and Earl. Fred is Fred Ward is the guy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Val and Earl. Thank you. Val, Earl, and Rhonda are on the boulders, and they're like pole vaulting from one boulder to the next to get to the truck.
And the whole idea came from the guy that wrote this story. Came up with the story, was out hiking. I think I saw in an interview, said that he was standing on a rock somewhere where he was hiking in the desert. I just maybe got up on the rock, and he thought, what if there was something that wouldn't let me get off this rock? And that's how he came up with the whole idea.
There you go.
If there was something underneath the ground that like would just keep me from being in it, and I'm stuck on this whole rock. And I guess he thought through that scenario, and that became one of the most iconic scenes of the movie.
That writer's name was S.S. Wilson.
Yes.
We know him from Short Circuit 1, Short Circuit 2, batteries not included. He has writing credits for the entire Tremor franchise. And he wrote the movie Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I remember that.
Pretty much aside, for the past 15, 20 years, aside from the Tremors, he hasn't really done anything.
I think he was able to sell, getting into that whole story with him and the way the movie came about, is that because Short Circuit was such a popular thing,
He could write his own ticket, man.
That he already had the Tremors idea there, and he was able to sell it because they were like, well, this guy was gold with this last thing, so let's hear him out on this one. And I had it noted, his original script and story was called Land Sharks. and he had to think of a way to change it.
Land sharks.
He had to change it because of the Saturday Night Live skit
Land shark.
where
Yeah.
the shark was at the door, and it was. I think he had the script written and the idea of the story written long before they started doing that on Saturday Night Live. It was just sort of one of these things he kind of developed as
He saw the skit and was like,
and it's like,
man.
really? It's like they've got the shark that knocks on the door, and it's a shark. It's like, no, and he opens the door and always eats the person. And
I mean,
like,
I could see a spoof of Tremors have the graboid tentacles knocking on a door. Open the door. Rawr.
well, I'm sure that maybe his first thought was he's going to be more like an underground shark.
Yeah.
And then
Obviously.
you got in. I didn't note all of these guys that were involved in it, but like one of the effects guys was like a nature documentarian guy, and he really is what kind of steered it towards the design of what they got to. Is he was looking up all these different animals and how they anything that moved underground and looking at their features and stuff like that. And I don't know how those two merged, whose idea the worm with the worms inside the mouth came from, but I think it was
fantastic design.
I think it was an amalgamation of them, and I don't know if the guy actually originally pictured sharks underneath the ground, but it kind of sounds to me like that was his original idea. That it's just going to be like and that would have been an awful like sort of pre-Sharknado movie that would have been completely forgotten because people just have been like, well, that's ridiculous. But I think the design of just sometimes you just get these movies that are these things that happen and all come together at the right time, and that's the only reason that it's not Sharknado or it's not some other silly thing. As the stars align and it works sometimes.
The other writer was Brent Maddock, also Short Circuit, Batteries Not Included. He also wrote Tremors 2, the Tremors TV series, 3, and he developed the story for 3 and 4, but then it was written by S.S. Wilson.
Yeah.
So they worked together quite a bit. And thinking back on like the movies of the era that they worked on, I feel like Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2, especially Short Circuit 2, was a lot more popular than like Tremors 2.
Oh, yeah.
Like they had a lot more success with that. So it's kind of weird we didn't get more Short Circuits.
That was definitely more of a kids targeted thing. And it's kind of interesting how much Tremors became a family movie, that you would you would show to your kids and the kids would enjoy it. It's kind of like that story that took you away from kids' stories into like
it's a safe monster movie.
A safer progression into more adult movies. There's obviously language in it and violence, but the violence is very goofy and obvious that it's fake. It looks like basically every time somebody blows something up that somebody's just taking a burrito from Taco Bell and throwing it at you or something.
I mean, the most graphic thing in the entire film, I think, is when the graboids get the
Victor Wong.
Well, no, I don't even think that was pretty graphic. But when they get the man and the woman in the very beginning, and they pull off and they find the hat in the sand and they pick up the hat and it's just a face.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most like disturbing image from the film.
The idea of I forget the actor's name is Victor Wong. I can't remember the guy that owns the little mart. He's that funny guy from Big Trouble Little China, all the stuff that he's actually one of the few scenes in there where they actually get him inside the mouth of one of the big graboids. And I always remember that one too because it's moving back and forth and he's sitting there flailing his arms out. And
that was pretty good.
As they're doing it, the tentacles are like hitting him and like biting him in the back too. And I was like, wow, that's
when they get him on the shoulders.
Like that's a bad way to go. It's like he's getting crushed by this thing, and on top of that, he's getting bit by these multiple things.
We should know his name.
When I start mixing actors' names and characters' names, I get really off on stuff.
Yeah.
But the
Walter Chang.
Yeah. Victor Wong.
Walter. Both have the W.
I'd probably will mix in his name from Big Trouble in Little China at some point and not know that I've done it because it's all just it's in there. But they did shoot it in this little place called Lone Pine, California, that looks almost like perfection. It was like a little town they did.
Did they build the town for this? Or?
They did. The guy had his budget, and I forget which of these guys was. I watched a thing a while back, a documentary called was it like Making Perfection or something like that?
Okay.
That he was going around to the places that were kind of not abandoned towns, but places that were kind of run down, finding sort of abandoned buildings and being like, "Hey, I'll give you $50 or $100 for that little shed." People were selling these buildings off their property. He would get a crew to come take them, relocate them, and just
Just drop them.
reassemble them there. And
Hmm.
I think there's a story there about one of the, I don't know if it was like a storm or something that came while they had one of the, maybe even like what's supposed to be the big store, Victor Wong the Chang's
Walter
store,
Chang. Yep.
that something happened and it like actually moved the store. They had to like move it back because I guess they literally were just sitting in these buildings on desert and stuff like that. And even like the scene with the boulders and the pole vaulting, they've returned to like that scene where that boulder was and just sitting there by itself. They brought in rocks and stacked them along so they could do the pole vaulting thing. And then I guess picked up, I guess like most of those things when you're done your production, you just pick up everything up and either dispose of it or I don't know what else you do with that kind of stuff. But it was funny because they were supposed to be in the desert, and you kind of remember like that first night they're stuck on the rocks that Val gives Rhonda his jacket and stuff. They look like they're cold. It's because they were freezing their arses off. It was in the desert. I think it had snowed the day they wanted to start to shoot, so they had to delay it. And as soon as like all the snow cleared and all that stuff, they started shooting that scene, and they were sitting there on the rocks like shivering because they were freezing.
So when Kevin Bacon kind of seems like he's cold, he's really cold.
Yeah, and I think they said days later it was like 110 degrees.
Yeah,
it's desert weather, and you come off the mountains. I don't know if that part would be the Sierras or the Rockies. Probably the Sierras coming in out of Nevada and California, but it's extreme weather. I've been out and done some outdoor sporting stuff, some fishing and stuff up in that area, and it's you literally can watch a thunderstorm down below just be raining and carrying on crazy, and you can watch it come up, and you can watch it turn to snow as it comes up the mountain because it hits that cold air. And I've been in the mountains in Colorado in June and been snowed on, and it literally was the people down below are sitting there in 95-degree weather in a hailstorm, and you're in the mountains getting snowed on. You're like, wow, okay. But
well, let's see.
The guy that they brought in, I should have noted the names. I had a lot of stuff I was doing this week. The nature documentary guy, so listen to him talk about the design. He went with like a snapping turtle was one of the animals that he really focused on, and that's where the head of the graboid, that design came from that. And I don't like to get rude on these things, so I'll try to keep this as the PG version. His original thought design for the monster was to have that snapping turtle head with like a skin that protected it.
Gotcha.
And he pitched the idea, and the other guy's like, "Oh, that's a great idea." And they pitched it to all the people from California, and of course, them all being from California, they all thought probably what everybody else thinks is like, "You're making a giant male part." And they explained that to him, and they're like, "We didn't think of that," so they killed the whole idea of it coming out of a skin. Which there's probably, thankfully,
it would look more that way. It would look more like a worm.
Yeah,
like if it looked just with skin from tip to end.
We hope. Or when it looks like something else.
Yeah.
And you have a whole different following of people in this movie. Probably.
I think the creature design worked really well with the hard beak, because you can imagine that just burrowing through the ground.
I love absolutely the same way that I always wish I could have gone and helped film Godzilla movies and do these miniature sets and stuff, and that the big monster prop of that was a bodysuit. And you had a guy that was standing in that suit that it was flexible enough and light enough he could stand up and move, and he was operating a puppet doing the snapping turtle head. So you literally had a guy in there that was just waving around like, "Ooh, I'm a worm," and like snapping snapping the thing. And you get the way they shoot stuff with miniatures and things like that could make it look massive. And if you go back and look at them standing around like a place where it comes out of the ground, they're standing around like a little hole. But use a perspective and stuff, it looks at makes it look like it was this huge thing. And I just love stuff like that.
Does the name Tom Woodruff or Alec Gillis? Either of those. It says designers were Tom
Oh
Woodruff
yeah,
and Alec
that's I'm
Gillis.
sure that's
Yeah.
it's been a little while since I watched that thing,
Mhm.
and I again I wasn't thinking about taking notes when I watched it because
Yeah.
it was just something I saw on YouTube and watched it. And
Let's see. Snapping turtles' tentacles designed to resemble catfish heads. Inspired by elephant trunks, octopus tentacles. The octopus tentacles make sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently this guy was like going through old footage from some of his nature documentary stuff and like getting nature books out and showing them to everybody, and they really just amalgamated this creature out of things that he'd seen and ideas that the writer wanted to have. And it's awesome to you get people that are trying to get to the same place or trying to get to somewhere cool, share ideas, and aren't just like, this is my idea, you can't change it. It's sometimes it's cool where they get to the
A lot of times the collaborative effort is really what makes something special, because
yeah.
one person will think of something another person doesn't.
Yeah, I might have my thing designed and like, this is what I want to be, and you could be like, what if you had to do this? And I'd be like, never thought of that.
I might have mentioned this before when we were talking about Predator. There's a legend, I guess you could say, that James Cameron was the one that came up with the mandibles for the Predator.
Yeah, that like he was watching the dude sketch it.
Yeah, like on an airplane or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Completely believable.
Oh yeah. James Cameron's
and get into the miniature stuff too. One of the iconic repeating scenes is always the Predator underground.
The Tremor, the Graboid.
The Graboid.
Yeah.
The Predator. I've just ate, so I'm going to be harder for me to focus now. Mostly because I'm still thinking about wanting some more of that.
But as it burrows underground, that's such a great shot.
You always have that thing where it's this little mound of stuff going, and that literally, I don't think it was a basketball, but it was like a basketball sized ball they had on a rope.
They yanked it.
They dug a little trench. Again, you think it's this big thing, and it's like a little ditch. It literally looks like if you told one of your kids to go out, and I need you to go out and dig a hole in the yard, and you go watch what the effort they put into it is like half of what an eighth of what you wanted them to do. Like they go dig this little tiny trench, put a sheet over it, cover it with sand,
just enough for the cable,
just so the sand doesn't fall in behind it, and then they just pull a ball, and it makes that little thing, and it looks like there's this giant worm coming through. And if you watch the setup for it, it's it's here to the couch, it's 15 feet, and they're just sitting there pulling a ball, and it's like that's awesome. That kind of creativity is it's why I love movies, and unfortunately the world that we're in now doesn't do as much of that.
That's one of the issues where when you come up against CG versus practical effects. And the Tremors series, and we'll talk about this a little later, probably in a couple of episodes, but the practical effects of Tremor is kind of mixed with CG throughout the series.
Yeah.
And in like the fourth one, because I rewatched all of them in this past month just to kind of catch up on them and watch a couple of them that I didn't see. But like the fourth one, I think, is the only one that had like a CG ground effect, where like they would see the Tremor off in the distance and it would just kind of look like a little CG bulge.
I think it was the one where they end up in Africa, which we're jumping way ahead.
Yeah,
that was probably the most redesigned version that I saw. I know there was some.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But
jeez,
but they really tried to change the looks of stuff with CGI then, and probably sort of are too far away from what made it magical the first time. But the use of puppetry and miniatures and stuff like that
was fantastic.
I always talk about
I think the only digital effect they had in this was a green screen that is unfortunately doesn't really hold up too well. And it's
talk about the Bert's house.
The Bert's house. I think that's the only green screen they really used.
And that was a miniature puppet.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't even like the full bodysuit thing. It was.
I mean, aside from that one little green screen hiccup, like that whole scene, you even knowing it's a miniature puppet, it doesn't feel like a miniature puppet. They did a great job.
Yeah, if you never had the two imposed, if you were always going back and forth between Bert shooting and then flipping back to it instead of having the one where you have the perspective where he's behind, that wasn't ready. That technology wasn't ready.
No.
But the whole thing where it comes through and it's just sitting there smashing the room, and runs its head up into the ceiling and all that. That's all just puppet stuff and miniature.
Completely
And
believable.
I loved it. And you had the effects where he's shooting it, and you've got little bullet explosions. He's shooting it with the big elephant gun and all that stuff. And
Yeah, I really like how how, and it kind of goes back to the head, how hard the head is, but how gushy the body is. That's one thing about the graboid's body. Is it's like a big sack of goo.
it was it was it was just lightweight foam.
Hmm.
And I think what they said is like to make it look more real. Like after they cast it, they would go bury it and
I'll make
then
it dirty.
get it dirty and dig
Yeah,
it back up. And
that
then
makes
like when they
sense.
dug it up, the sand and stuff was in like some of the puppetry mechanisms. So like some of it they had to mess around with because it didn't work once you got it dirty and all this stuff. So the the production of that would have probably been a fascinating thing to just be a part of and see. I like to see people that are problem solvers too. When you get into making your own things and you come up with this idea, it's like, oh, let's bury it, make it look dirtier, and get dirt and stuff all on it. And then you get it up, it's like, well, now there's sand in the thing, so I can't work its mouth. So you have to repurpose that, and probably a lot of frustration, I'm sure, in the process of doing a movie like that. But you know, if you keep it in perspective and remember that you're making a movie about a worm and just have fun with it, it'd be fun to do. The I don't. My next thing down the list was just talking. We're going to be talking about how it bombed at the box office.
Yeah, I have that note too. Underperformed at the box office,
It was
but on home video did
they
very well.
they said it was bomb today versus then. I think it made 16 million versus a $6 million budget, so it actually made money.
Okay,
But what was considered a bomb is that they have projections for movies.
right.
It
I think they
netted
still have them, but
it netted a fifth of what Universal wanted out of it.
yeah.
So that's why they kind of labeled it as a bomb, and and that was because I think as they got the movie together and tried to figure out how to promote it, Universal was like, "What is this? How do we promote it?" And
Yeah.
they didn't really know what to do. Apparently, there were some pretty bad trailers that they released on it, and basically they fumbled promoting the movie at all.
Well,
Because
even that, even though the classic image of the three main characters on the surface of the desert and the graboid coming up underneath, even though that's an iconic shot, it's aping Jaws, obviously, kind of going back to the whole land shark concept.
yeah,
Yeah, even with that, I can understand how people would see the trailer and be like, I don't know,
yeah,
it looks goofy.
you get people that are in charge of releasing short circuit movies or ET type movies, that are family things, and you try to sell them this thing where there's a worm that's eating everybody, and we have to blow it up and all that. They're going to be like, I don't want to watch that, and it's not like a full blown horror movie, so you're not getting into those guys that are good at promoting horror films and stuff like that.
So to kind of give a perspective, the other films that were released in 1990, Arachnophobia, Predator 2. Let's see, Darkman. Wow, Dark. I mean, I don't think Darkman really performed well at box office
Yeah,
either.
no, it's a
Jacob's Ladder, Total Recall, Joe versus the Volcano. Well, Tales from the Dark Side. I enjoyed that one as a kid.
definitely all over the place in terms of what was coming out back then.
Yeah,
a lot of family kind of
Flatliners.
Yeah.
Let's see. It looks like the original Ninja Turtles movie. I didn't know that was 1990. Okay. Days of Thunder, Gremlins 2. So, Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. So I mean, they had Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Oh. So there were some pretty big hitters in 1990. So I could see how it could get buried.
Yeah, you're coming up against stuff like Total Recall and stuff. They're
Yeah.
they're not going to be promoting this $6 million budget movie over one that probably cost 50 or 100 million. I don't even know what those other movies were, but they're more money tied up in them. They're obviously going to be more of a priority to get your money back. I think this always feels to me like they were one that's like, okay, you can make it. We'll gamble on it, but we're not giving you a huge budget and hope it turns out well. And
I'd like to know if they were trying to, because today, if the exact same movie was made and presented, it would be presented like it would be like a like a family fun horror movie.
And
Something that's light and
I,
not
I
too
I
scary. You can
cringe
bring your
at the thought
kids.
of them the people that try to write comedy today, trying to write the comedy for this movie, and just how obnoxious it would probably be,
Yeah.
and that you get into the whichever film franchise you want to do, where they have to have so much witty and sarcastic things to say that they would go overboard on something like this, and it would probably be unwatchable. The
Yeah, Val and Earl would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think you get to that combo today. They wouldn't. There wasn't anything controversial with them or anything like that. It's just that you just wouldn't have allowed that mix. It would have had to be somebody else, or there would have had to be a.
This is talking a little ahead of ourselves, but you almost kind of get a taste of that in Tremors 6, A Cold Day in Hell.
I did not make it that far.
Yeah.
I
I'll
know enough to talk about a few of them up through
yeah.
5, and that's all I got.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about it a little bit.
It was interesting too. Kevin Bacon, I think, came back for that documentary thing that I watched,
Okay.
and this was 1990. I don't know that it's like a career saver. I don't think he acknowledged it that way, but it really seems if you watch what he did, it probably was because he did Footloose, and then there was like 7 or 8 different movies he did after that that were all kind of date dramas, comedy romance things. The only thing that he did in that film in that stretch of time that I even remember was just a what I would call a cameo performance, but that was still him trying to get noticed in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles at the
Okay.
beginning where he's racing for the cab with Steve Martin. That was in that stretch, and I think he was kind of getting to a point of thinking that his acting days were done. I think, and took this movie because it was kind of a why not at this point, because he just stuff like She's Having a Baby, and I can't remember the other films, but Quicksilver I think was one of them. Like maybe it's like a bicycle messenger or something. It was just all these attempts to kind of hit that popular movie with teenagers type things.
Let's see. We have his IMDb up here. So we're going back to 1990. He's had a lot of films.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
But
So
this was definitely a bad stretch for him.
so
And
let's go back to Quicksilver. Let's go from Footloose. Mr. Roberts, Kenny
no,
Loggins' Footloose version 2.
don't know it.
I have no idea. Oh, it's a music video.
Okay.
The Little Sister, Quicksilver, Whitewater Summer, End of the Line, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that cameo. She's Having a Baby. Lemon Sky, Criminal Law, The Big Picture. I've never seen any of these films.
Yeah, no, they all. I kind of scanned across them looking at this before he did it, and they all basically say this was a movie he was in, and they were not. It was not received well by critics. Didn't have box office expectations met. All that kind of stuff.
And then Tremors in 1990. And these are the films that would be, let's go up to 1996, the release of Tremors 2.
Okay.
So this is when he, Flatliners, was huge. Queen's Logic, He Said, She Said, Pirates, JFK, A Few Good Men, The Air Up There, The River Wild. I think that was like his, like, I remember that as being a big Kevin Bacon movie. Murder in the First, Apollo 13,
Yeah.
Bellotto,
His life
Sleepers.
definitely improved after Tremors.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know whether he credits it that way or not.
I couldn't see the guy, a guy who was in Apollo 13 the next year being in Tremors 2.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what his perspective was as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. You wouldn't return back to this, and maybe that's why he doesn't want to credit it too much.
Yeah.
But the
Well,
it honestly, it's when you think of Kevin Bacon, I don't think of anything else before this. Some people probably think of Footloose first.
Yeah, of
if
course.
it was their thing.
I think that's what really got him noticed.
But
Friday the 13th.
if he hadn't been
That's what a lot of
struggling,
people think of.
yeah, Friday the 13th, he just gets
He gets killed.
killed.
It's a good kill.
But he doesn't probably end up in a movie if he's not struggling here.
Whitewater Summer. I don't know.
This movie doesn't probably have the success that it did without him, because it's really that on top of the effects and all that stuff, it's a really good cast. I mean, it's the play between him and Fred Ward is perfect. I mean, that's the comedy of the movie. just having those two hanging out and getting through the situations together and playing rock paper scissors every time they have to decide something. And um, again, that's a stars aligning kind
I,
of
I wonder if
thing.
the Tremors franchise benefited from. I mean, it had to have benefited from Kevin Bacon's rising star. You know, you hear about, oh, did you see this
No, yeah,
old horror flick that Kevin Bacon was in,
sure. You
or
can
this
go
cheesy
back right
horror flick
now
that he
and
was in?
look at once. I think once Tremors got that second breath of video rental stuff, I think that was when he started to like get interviews about Tremors. And he didn't get nobody talked to him about it when they made it, but because it was becoming this kind of a phenomenon of a rental being that popular,
Right.
because it's a 1990, the the whole rental thing was just kind of there'd been lots of little stores that did things like that. A lot of places that were selling videos but not really renting them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because however Blockbuster started, it might have been a mom and pop thing, or maybe they saw somebody's small business idea and copied it and kind of turned it corporate to where you had these big rental places, and that became a craze. You know, where everybody that's what you did on the weekend is you and your buddies went to go rent a couple movies, and you'd all come hang out and watch movies at your house all the time.
And yes, it was wonderful.
And that that happened as this movie came out on tape,
Right.
and it just became this one that I think in 1990, I think it was I couldn't really find any numbers on it. So what basically they say is it's one of the most rented movies of all times.
I believe
I
it.
don't think they had any any numbers to say because they weren't measuring stuff like that at the time that this was the most rented movie of 1990. But I think they assumed that it either was or it was one of, um, and it kind of became a little bit of a whatever makes things a cult movie. You get a following of people, and it spawned its. I think it had like little conventions that would happen back at Lost Pine in California, or somewhere like a little town right around there. They used to get together and have a show. I'm sure they don't anymore, but the all the cast would come back and show up and have a viewing of the movie, almost like a Lebowski fest.
Yeah.
So it just got that little cult following and became its own little thing.
I wonder if that still. I wonder if that still exists. I could see it being
I would think at this point something like that would get looped into we're going to get the cast of these guys to come to this big con
right. Yeah.
instead of having a little con, because I've been to Lebowski Fest. It was awesome. It was a great group of people, great fun to go do, and they all kind of dried up
The
because I think just the financial thing of trying to do these small shows is just
yeah.
hard to pull off.
The Pasadena Comic Convention and Toy Show last December had a 35th anniversary panel reunion.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, they're down to showing up at somebody else's show, not just being a show for them.
Yeah.
But I'm
Well,
sure.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I can't really say. I can't really say
Yeah,
the fandom's not big enough to really warrant its
35
own
years is a
still.
long time for.
Yeah.
If I'm a big fan of the show, I might go to 3 or 4 shows. I think after like the fifth or sixth one, I'm probably not as interested as flying across country to go see the same guys again.
Same guys watch the same movie.
Yeah, yeah,
But the success, I'm assuming it's the success from the rental, did warrant additional films.
yeah, yeah.
And like we said, it was written by the same guys. So that was one of my criticisms about Tremors 2 is the direction they took it. And I watched a small interview with one of the writers, and he was saying how he felt you couldn't serve like the same meal twice. So he felt
Yeah,
like they had to change the Tremors.
yeah.
It was released 6 years after. One of my irks about film sequels is I'm like, 10 years. If you don't do it within 10 years,
Yeah,
just don't do it. Do something else.
yeah.
And this was well within 10 years. It was just 6 years later.
So they get Fred Ward back for that playing Earl,
Yep.
but no Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, you had Fred Ward played Earl. You had Bert.
Michael Gross.
Michael Gross as Bert.
Another thing that's worth mentioning about the original movie too is just this random castings of people that Michael Gross was just a sitcom dad.
Well, they thought he would be a draw,
Yeah,
not Kevin Bacon because he wasn't big yet.
and they brought him in. I think they've sort of like auditioned him or whatever to see how he would be with this role, and like he just took to it and like embraced this whole crazy gun guy and all that stuff. And they're like, wow, I didn't know this guy was like this. And I think kind of gave them grounds for we could do more with this character probably.
Well, I don't know. I don't know Michael Gross's personal ideologies or anything, but I always kind of saw it as almost like a parody.
Yeah.
You know, like this is your stereotypical right wing gun nut.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I
And
don't know. We like that. We like seeing that.
everybody, the Finn Carter, you mentioned her, the one that played Rhonda,
Mhm.
she was completely unknown. I think she didn't have as much career after this
Yeah,
because
well, I don't know anything she was in after this.
she did a bunch of like crime shows and stuff
Okay.
like that. But that was after she got arrested for stealing some stuff.
Oh no.
She had a
Remember back in the day with thinking Winona Ryder too. Back in the day when stealing was controversial.
the
Imagine.
she I remember looking her up at one point and like those things like, God, that's an awful picture to bring up of her. And it's like it was because it was a mugshot.
The mugshot.
She was just sitting there like I just got arrested. I'm like, okay. And then you had Reba McEntire thrown in there, which at the time was like,
Yes.
what on earth?
Yeah, Reba McEntire
came
was
up with
great
that idea?
casting.
And she later had her own sitcom, and now
Mhm.
she's all over these reality singing things that I've still never watched and never will. I'm just not my thing. But that was just a complete like random. Like the first time you see it, it's like, is that Reba McEntire? It's like, is that the lady that sings Fancy?
Yeah.
Is that she's in the movie about worms? I was like, what's happening here? So they took a lot of chances on that first one, and I think that all kind of got you to where you had a lot of cult interest and enough reason to come back to like the second one and stuff. They did. Unfortunately, they couldn't get anybody back other than just Fred Ward and Michael Gross. But
Unfortunate is a good word for it.
yeah,
Especially if it was just, even if it was just in like bit parts or cameos or things like that.
yeah.
They mentioned Heather a few times throughout the series, Reba's character, but just in passing.
Just that she left him because
Yeah.
he was crazy or whatever. Yeah.
The new people in Tremors 2 was Grady Hoover. He's the sidekick.
Yeah.
Anything else has been in. Same with Kate Riley, who was like the new science woman. And that was it. It was just Fred Ward, Michael Gross, and those two people. And it was a sufficient cast. I think it was again an isolated location. It was in Mexico at the, I had to look this up, Petromaya oil refinery.
That's what I remember. It was about an oil company.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. Was it trying to do like an environmental shot at them kind of thing, or not really?
I don't think so.
I don't.
I think it's just the idea of oil digging into the ground makes vibrations.
Needing people that want to dig in the ground and give us a place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the company wanted to dig. They were being bothered by the graboids.
Mm-hmm. And they were paying, I forget what it was, but they were paying like thousands and thousands of dollars for every graboid they killed.
Was it Earl that had the it was Bert that came up with the idea of the little remote control ways to get them.
Yeah.
So they like hire him, right?
Yes. The oil company hires them to come down to kill graboids essentially because they need them out so they can continue to drill.
And I can't remember the whole tie-in with Earl. The oil guy comes to Earl. Is it just because he knows about them or something?
I'm thinking about it and I don't rightly recall like
what
between Earl and Bert, like which way that went.
I remember like the oil people come to Earl.
Yeah.
And then they hire Bert.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if how they get in touch with Bert. Maybe that Earl helps them contact Bert, because then Bert like hanging out kind of.
I mean, that's the reason they went to him, is because they've become somewhat famous.
He's kind of like
because of the whole graboid incident.
But Bert's like sitting around, kind of like moping and over the whole like his wife left him thing, and then they call him to come down and blow up graboids or something like that. I don't remember the plot points of that one that well, but.
And the basic plot of it is the graboids evolve.
They give birth.
They die when they give birth. Yeah, they give birth to shriekers.
Yeah.
And then shriekers.
The shriekers are, instead of a sound thing, they're a heat thing.
their heat thing, but they can emit sound. They can scream. That's what they're called, shriekers.
Okay.
They have these little flaps on their head, and that gives them heat vision.
Yeah.
And they're bipedal, so they're walking around on the ground.
Yeah.
And let's see, a shrieker will just eat and eat and eat, and it gives birth to another shrieker.
Yes.
That is one way that you can get more shriekers. And let's see.
They're much easier to kill. You can just kind of shoot them.
Yeah.
They're running on the ground kind of thing.
Yeah, and they were doing things like to help protect them from the heat vision. They were covering themselves in CO2 from fire extinguishers, holding doors in front of them to block their heat signature.
It's kind of like the climax of that movie, right? Where he sprays himself with the fire extinguisher and climbs into the building to blow it up. And
right. Yeah, that's right toward the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Now they lure all of them in because Bert comes all completely prepared. He has all these MREs, and they lure them.
They like to eat stuff.
Yeah, they lure them into the location with all the MREs, and they blow it up.
Yeah,
it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
and I mean these movies aren't Shakespeare, so
yeah, it's a sci-fi in the afternoon thing from back in the 90s or 2000s that you'd watch.
Yep. I thought it was aside from the Shriekers at the time, I did not like the Shriekers. Still don't really care for them. I think the Graboids are enough.
Yeah.
I didn't think they needed to evolve any, but I really like the slightly different setting of Mexico. I really like the greenery around it.
Seemed like that would have been the thing to do, would be to take. Yeah, there was never any explanation of why they were just in that valley in perfection, and just to go to a different location and be like, oh, they're not just there, they're also here, would have been enough for a sequel. And
hang on a sec. I think Bert was in Argentina, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely outside of my bounds of memory on that.
All right, hang on a sec. I think he was in Argentina hunting graboids before he went to Mexico.
I know some stuff like that happens later. That he becomes like a hunter and gets like a YouTube following.
Yeah, he has like a survival show.
But that's like later movies.
Yeah, like the third one.
Yeah,
Was the third one? No, the fifth one. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's where the Travis, the camera guy, shows up. But...
All right, here we go. We're on Tremors Wiki.
I'm sure that's a page full of interesting facts.
Yeah. Okay, in Argentina, Graboid gave birth to what was called Shriekers, became a small army after. Okay, so that's back to that's okay. Between 2 and 3, he goes to Argentina, not between 1 and 2. Okay, that's where I was mixing that up.
I think he was sort of moping and being sad over Reba leaving him. Was his pre-story in number 2.
Let's see, they did it between the events of Tremors 1 and 2. Bert and Heather got some fame for killing one in their rec room, like we saw. It was mounted with other trophies. I remember seeing that. The Soviet Union dissolved, and there was no imminent danger of World War. Bert and Heather drifted apart because there was no imminent danger of World War.
It's good to know that's what was keeping them together.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got that from the films.
That's such a specific thing to write into a story.
Yeah. And she left him taking the HK-91, and depressed, Bert watched war stories in his den. Earl called him to Mexico, so Earl got hired and he called Bert.
That's what I was thinking. It was the oil guy and Earl, and then they contact Bert. But yeah, that's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
No
imminent threat of World War.
What are we married for? Get out of here!
Great. Oh man. Okay.
That's the most patriotic couple on the planet.
Right?
It's like, if we're not fighting communism, then screw this.
Well, after Tremors 2, so Bert goes to Argentina to hunt graboids, which is kind of weird because I could have swore at some point it was isolated to North America, but I guess it was isolated to the Americas.
Yeah,
because Argentina in South America.
Makes sense. It's all connected.
Earl and Grady went on to make a graboid-themed amusement park, which I don't think we ever saw. And I assume that Earl and Kate got married. I couldn't really find anything about that, but I assume that.
Okay.
Because they kind of hit it off at the end of Tremors 2.
Yeah.
And then you have Tremors 3. This one's called Back to Perfection.
This one actually gets some cast back. It
A little bit. Yeah.
gets
Got Mindy,
Mindy, Melvin, Nancy, the mom of
Nancy.
Mindy. And you get Miguel, the guy who starts the little lawnmower in the first one to run off.
Yeah.
He comes back. So
And
I guess after you get in a movie like Tremors, you kind of go explore the stuff and find out that there's not much left in your acting career, so we'll come back and do some Tremors sequels. Although Mindy, I guess it's worth pointing out, Mindy, right after she was in the first one, she's the girl popping around on the pogo stick.
yeah.
Went right into being the girl in Jurassic Park. She's the.
That's the same girl?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And not too long after. It was
Scared Jello?
2-3 years after that. So, because Jurassic Park was like 92 or 93. Yeah. So.
Did you know that Jurassic Park, talking about Jurassic Park now, that scene where she falls toward the raptors out of the air duct,
mm-hmm.
and she looks up, that was a stunt double, and that was a digital face replacement. Really? That was the first digital face replacement.
That's cool.
Yeah.
On that subject there, it's kind of the transition between movies like Tremors. Tremors is one of the last kind of good monster practical effects things.
Oh yeah.
That your next big thing, there might have been some movies in between or two, but your next really big thing was Jurassic Park coming out in 93. I think that was 92 or 93, so a couple years later.
Mix of digital
or
and practical, but
they just bombard you with all this like digital CGI effects. Stuff and kind of killed this era of these kind of movies like Tremors.
Yeah. Now Tremors 2, they did start with the CG effects.
Yeah, but that was
and
laptop level effects.
Well, what's funny, and I think I could probably say this for the Tremors franchise as a whole. At the time, it looked bad.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, seeing this kind of CG we're getting today, I'm like, okay, that's not that bad for 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit. I'm a little more forgiving. Watching the old stuff now.
I always talk about my guilty pleasure on movies is bad shark movies.
Yeah.
Like not the half shark werewolf things, all the sharktopus stuff like that, but just low budget shark movies. Somebody wrecks their trap, blah blah blah. The town gets flooded, sharks get in. Is that a lot of the CG in those is good, but there's always like a spot where there's something that just didn't get that extra attention, and you see it, it's like, oh wow.
It's the green screen in Tremors 1. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always run out of budget, I guess.
So this one you get all those characters back, and it's pretty much just focusing on the Shriekers.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, there's a graboid that Bert kind of tames.
Well,
kind of keeps almost like a pet, not really a pet, but
by the end of it, kind of.
Yeah.
El Blanco.
Yeah.
He was an albino.
It's the passive one that like doesn't attack.
They have like a mutual respect kind of going on.
Makes sense that a guy that likes guns and a prehistoric space worm would come to an understanding.
The two new characters in this was Jodie Chang, the niece of Walter. She was running the store.
Comes back to open the store back up or whatever.
And Jack Sawyer, who is, I don't know if you would say is Jodie's love interest, but they kind of have like a tension between them.
Yeah.
It's more like a playful thing between them. And he's the comedic relief. He's the new sidekick. That's one thing about these Tremors films is you have Bert and there's always a sidekick.
Yeah.
And that was Jack this time. And he was kind of doing like a tour for Tremors, and he was faking Tremor attacks for tourists and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's okay. I had to remember which movie that was.
Yeah, that was Back to Perfection.
Getting people to come there, and he's like standing behind bushes throwing up dirt. It's like, oh, there's one over there.
Yeah, and there's I guess with any of these films, there's really no explanation to, why are the Tremors here now? It's just, no, Tremors.
Yeah.
So there's no real explanation. It's been, I think, like 11 years between Tremors and this film, because this film came out in 2001. So yeah, it's been 11 years.
Yeah.
So that's, and like you were saying, Mindy, who was in Jurassic Park, she's in college, and there is between Jack and Mindy talking about college, there is this whole feeling of not having a lot of money and needing money. And that's kind of where Melvin comes in. He's like become a real estate developer.
That's what I was thinking. He was the real estate guy in this one, right?
and he was wanting to develop perfection and buy all the land out and put up like suburbs or something.
Yeah, but couldn't because there's still.
And there were
Shriekers.
government men in this, right? Because the government men were there regarding the.
Somebody calls them, doesn't the mom?
Yep.
Mindy's mom calls them.
Yeah.
Thinking that they could come help, and of course they don't.
Yeah, so she was calling for help.
Yeah.
And they were wanting to catch one, and Bert was like, "You can't catch one."
Yeah.
Well, and by the end of it, that El Blanco one is the reason that Perfection gets to stay because he's considered an endangered species. And so that's why there's that like respect built between them.
Yeah.
I wish that was paid off in some of the other films at some point. We never go back to Perfection after this, aside from going back in time.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But as stupid as it would have been nice if El Blanco showed up in a later film to help.
Yeah.
Like actually push that. But and it would have been cheesy. I would have probably complained about it. But as we see it.
This is the movie where Shriekers change again.
The basic premise again is Graboids are back and they mutated again into a new thing called Shriekers. Into Shriekers and then into a new thing called Ass Blasters. Because the Shriekers come.
I had written down the way I'd always referred to them after watching the movie, just because I hadn't really remembered that they had named them that, as I called them fart gliders, because they just like would basically fart fire and fly or launch themselves. Well, I forgot that they called them ass blasters in the movie.
Per tradition, the Jodie Chang, she named them ass blasters.
Yeah.
So her uncle named the Graboids. She got to name these. And the Shriekers will molt like an insect into the ass blasters.
And they become a winged version.
A winged version of the Shriekers, essentially.
Yeah.
And they fart, and their farts get lit on fire, and they take off like a little jet. It's so. This film was the one that got me to give up on Tremors for a long time. I hated this because I didn't care for the Shriekers in Tremors 2. And in Tremors 3 came back and it was like back to perfection. And I thought it was a double entendre there. We're going back to perfection in the land and we're going to fix this and you're just going to get Graboids. Nope, here's a farting flying lizard. Okay. But eventually the Shriekers will lay Graboid eggs.
Yeah. Tie this back into Appalachia for just a second.
Okay.
If anybody here knows Helgamites in this area, just last night going outside, living out in the woods, when you turn on a light out here, you got about 30 seconds before every beast on the planet flies at your house. And this is the time of the year where Helgamites are getting winged to become whatever the fly thing is that they come. And the fly is even more terrifying than a Helgamite. A Helgamite is like a centipede with like a big pincher on its face. I hate the look of those things. That's a Helgamite. That's eventually what they become. But as they change, from this to this, they're just a winged version of that.
So it's like a little centipede that molts and grows wings.
And it literally...
That's horrifying.
It's like an ass blaster from this movie. I thought it was weird last night that whatever happens in the time, usually it's like a temperature, time of the year thing that happens when things change and hatch out and stuff like that. They're outside my house right now. So we're sitting there getting ready for the show, talking about Tremors, and I just had been watching about the blasters. And then I go outside last night, and those things are like flying over my head when I'm outside, and I'm like, well, that's interesting timing. That I'm glad they're not shooting fire out their rear end there. But side tail there away from the stories.
And one of the things that happened in this film that comes into play in a later film is Bert gets swallowed by a Graboid. And the reason he gets, it's a really convoluted way. The reason he gets swallowed but not chewed up is he gets swallowed inside of a barrel. So like the barrel gets pushed up on him and he gets pushed into the barrel and the graboid just swallows the entire barrel. So he's kind of protected.
And then isn't like he talking to somebody from inside of it?
Yes, he has his walkie-talkie, and he's talking to Jack, and he's like, Jack, get back to my compound, lure this thing back to my compound, and you'll know what to do, essentially. And so as Jack goes into the compound, busts through the closed gates, Bert has built a concrete barrier all the way around his compound. And so the graboid's following the truck, and he runs headfirst in the concrete barrier and dies.
It's a nice nod to the first movie.
It is.
We didn't really talk about that in the first movie. Probably, there's a lot of iconic scenes in the first one. They're running in the first one, and they come to this like spillway or drainage area that's just concrete
lined. Yeah,
the thing's just about caught them. They jump, and then of course the graboid just smashes into it, and they're sitting there looking like, is this thing gonna break through the wall and kill us? And then they're like,
one of the tentacles flops out and blood pours.
It's like that dummy just knocked himself out. He's like, he's not knocked out, he's
dead.
And Kevin Bacon's like, yeah, you. That's a great scene.
It's a great scene. And that's really when we really get the first look at a graboid, because they dig him up.
Yeah. And they go to start digging him back and finally find the rear end of him, and it's like, those things are huge. It's like, we got to call like National Geographic.
And so Jack goes and grabs a chainsaw and just cuts the graboid open and gets Bert out. That one scene kind of sets the tone for the rest of the series, because the first film and even the second film, there was a certain amount of groundedness to it. Pun not intended, but hey, go with it. Yeah. And once Bert's eaten by one and he survives, it's like, all right. So
he's running through the desert, talking to him on his walkie-talkie
from within the graboid.
I was like, yeah, we're not gonna be serious anymore.
Right. But I think it worked fine. I think the by and large the audience was there for it.
I think at that point, if you're still into the movies, that you're there for just the whatever silly direction it goes into, and if you wanted
the spectacle,
if you wanted something more serious than that, or you'd be watching something else at that point. And I think that was kind of where I went. I saw these in pieces over time. When I found out that there was another one, I was like, I got to make sure I go see that. It'd be like, it'd be a day where there's raining outside and there's absolutely nothing else you could do. It was like, you want to watch like Tremors 4 or 3 or something? It's like, yeah, sure, why not? I need a nap.
I think I actually got back into the franchise, because like I said, after Tremors 3, I just kind of lost interest. And then when Tremors 5 Bloodlines came out, I was like, oh well, maybe I'll get back into it. Yeah. And that's when I started actually kind of paying attention to what was going on.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got back into just that being something that you sort of watched and you'd see in passing. I never really tried to come back into those.
There was some merchandising that was shown. I think in Tremors 2, you actually saw like an arcade cabinet for Tremors. And in Tremors 3, inside the convenience store, they had a couple of things that the fans apparently were really wanting. And for years, they were wanting these things to actually exist. Yeah. They don't actually exist. The first is like a oven mitt that looks like one of the graboid tentacles. And I think that's a great oven. I'm sure you could find it on Etsy or something.
Or you could just go
make that. Yeah, it just looks like a regular oven mitt with some felt on it. The other is just a little graboid figurine. And in the film, Jodie was on the phone, and she was upset at the manufacturer because they had 4 tentacles instead of 3. But this one, the one that I got a picture of, has none. It looks kind of like it's been broken.
Yeah.
Also, they had 2 comics, Shriekers and Graboids versus Shriekers. Then the comics they showed were from Dark Horse Comics, and Dark Horse was really big into like Alien and Terminator, and like they were big into kind of like B-movie franchise comics.
Yeah.
These were just covers that were commissioned.
Oh, so they never even made them.
They never made any Graboid or Tremors comics, and I'm like, that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I think the Tremors mythos could definitely live in comic form. Absolutely.
Much better so than trying to make low budget poor CGI movies.
I think so. I agree. As a comic collector, I would enjoy it. I would love it if there was like a 2 or 3 mini series of Tremors.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be
great.
based around the characters. It could just be things that exist outside of it. That's the beauty of comics, is that you could just write a short series of, we found them in Antarctica or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then Tremors 4 goes back to perfection. Now, you've seen this one. This is the one that takes place in the past.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it called? Was it Rejection?
Yeah, it was called Rejection.
Rejection.
Takes place in Rejection, Nevada. Same location, but I think that's clever. It's a clever play on the name. I was pleased at that. This was released in 2004. The Changs exist. That's like the town folk, is the families, is the Changs. And
it's supposed to be Bert's great granddad, right?
It's Michael Gross plays Hiram Gummer, which is his grandfather.
Yeah.
He owns a silver mine, and the miners get attacked by a graboid, and they say, "I'm done. We're not doing this mine anymore." So he shows up, almost broke, because he's relying on this mine for his fortune. He's like a highfalutin city man. He's got class, and
wants you to think that he is.
Wants you to think he is. Yes, he's got class. He's got money. He's got influence, that sort of thing. But you learn that, hey, no, well, this is it. If the silver mine goes under, he's done.
He invested all his money in the silver mine, and he doesn't have any money because it's a non-functioning silver mine at that point.
Right. This also probably explains how come Bert is able to afford what he can afford.
Yeah.
I mean, if his family owned a functional silver mine.
Yeah.
And why perfection is even there.
Yes.
So yeah.
Funny twist on this one is like what's his name? What's the great granddad's name?
Hiram. Yeah.
I wonder what that's supposed to mean. There's probably some purpose for that, but like, he has never handled a gun.
Yeah. You don't like him.
So he's
when he's told, because they get like a bounty hunter to try to kill these graboids. And the bounty hunter tells everybody, grab a gun that feels good. And so Hiram does grab a gun, and later they're all using their gun, and it's this tiny little pea shooter that makes like a pop cap sound. And he was like, "Is that all you got?" And Hiram was like, "You told me what feels good, to get what feels good in my hand." Oh, jeez.
The bounty hunter is he's the guy from Untouchables that ends up, he's the one that kills Sean Connery. Real creepy looking dude.
Oh yeah.
And he's the one that ends
Billy Drago.
Yes.
Wow, what a name, Drago.
He's the guy
Black Hand Kelly is the character.
Kevin Costner ends up throwing off the roof in Untouchables. Yeah, because he's watching the trial and stuff, and he finally gives away that he's the one that killed Sean Connery. I've watched that movie a lot too. That's a favorite old movie of mine. And
R.I.P. He danced. His last film was The Dance, but he died in 2019.
I've never seen him in anything but Untouchables and in this movie. Obviously, he's got a list there. He's been in lots of stuff, but probably not anything that's a groundbreaking type movie.
He was in the Supernatural TV series.
Okay.
Zombie Hunters. He knew his type.
Bunch of low budget horror stuff mostly.
Yeah. He was in The Hills Have Eyes. I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay, he was in one episode of Masters of Horror. Yeah, just horror stuff.
But I can remember, like, when I saw the Back to Perfection, or whichever one this one is.
Back to Perfection. No. The Legend Begins.
The Legend Begins. That it took me a second. I was like, why do I know that guy? Because he had long hair and stuff in this movie. I was like, oh, that's the mobster dude. So kind of cool to see him there. But
this film introduces the last link to the life cycle of the graboid. It introduces like a larva that can shoot out of the ground, and they're called shooters, or what's one of the names they call them. They shoot out of the ground like a flying fish and can like eat your head off. So that's the last thing. And so you have the graboids. We'll go through their life. Since we have the whole life now, we'll go through the life cycle real quick. You have the graboids. They're these big subterranean lizard things.
Yes.
They sense through vibrations, and they have 3 tentacles that can grab people and pull them in. They then give birth to shriekers. You have 3 Shriekers for every 1 Graboid. Is it 3 or 2? I wrote 2, but I think it's 3.
Yeah.
One of the things that they never really talked about that is this kind of like a headcanon for me. Those tentacles, there's 3 of those, and then 3 Shriekers come out of them. I think those tentacles become the Shriekers.
Could be.
And they like eat the host. They like eat the Graboid to grow. Because that's that all of these, like the way the Graboid grows, processes, is they eat. They eat something and then they like grow and mutate and change into something else. So that's what I think. Once those little tentacles eat enough, they eat the Graboid, and then that's how come the Graboid dies.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I'm happy with that.
Even if that's not what they intended, that's
what it seems like.
Probably a better explanation than maybe what they
yeah
what they were going with. But
if they eat enough, they regurgitate another Shrieker. So from 1 Graboid can be literally unlimited Shriekers if there's enough food.
As long as they can eat.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like Gremlins at that point.
I very much thought Gremlins with like the life cycle of these things.
In that one, if you get them wet, they pop out another one, right?
Pop out a bunch more.
Yeah.
And they can scream to distort their prey, and they see through heat vision. The heat vision goes into the next stage, which are ass blasters. Once they become ass blasters, they molt. They lose the ability to reproduce by regurgitation.
Yeah.
At this point, it's only by laying eggs. As far as we can tell, they can lay as many eggs as they want. And they never say this explicitly, but my thought is like, well, since Graboids can't go through rock in order to like populate a large area, they would need a way to get to across the rock. So
you can
fly across the rock. That would make sense.
Yeah.
And one quote that they say in multiple movies, and I really like it: "If you've got ass blasters, you've got Graboids." So true. So true. And then they lay the egg, and out of the egg comes the shooters.
Yeah.
And then they call them dirt dragons. I think that's an interesting life cycle.
It's a shame that there wasn't maybe more budget and maybe more of a cohesive second attempt to maybe make a film where you kind of do more of that and just don't delve into the silliness as much. There's some pretty cool things that you could explore there with it and at least make it pretty interesting, but it seems like they're sort of adding to it as they go.
Definitely.
Instead of having a big overviewing idea of it, it was like, well, have them do this. Let's have them do this.
That is my big complaint for the first 4 films, and it's interesting that it took 4 films to finish it out. Is it seemed like every film felt like they had to add something new.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well now they have legs and they walk on land. Oh, okay, now they fly. Oh, now they're larvae that shoot out of the ground.
Yeah.
I was worried that, and like I said, I hadn't watched the 4th one up when Tremors 5 came out. I was just worried that every new film it would be something else. Oh, well, after they turn larvae, then they turn into a mass of snakes. I don't know. But anyway, then Tremors 5 Bloodlines came out.
Well, in 4, it's basically kind of comes back to that rave story too, where there's just like three Graboids that they kill.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, they hide the secret. And that's supposed to be how you get from there to
the reason they don't
day.
The reason they don't tell anybody is because of the silver mine. They're like, hey, if we tell people these things are here, they're not going to come to get the silver.
Yes, yeah. So that's interesting, trying to sort of make a prequel story and get back to tying it back to the first one. So
I definitely think up until the 4th, I think the 4th one was the best follow-up from the first one.
Yeah.
I think the 4th one really did a good job of kind of resetting, not rebooting, but like resetting the series and getting back to a baseline.
It was a better production, at least, where they had a western town and more costume and stuff like that. It just wasn't so much. It didn't look like some college guys shooting a film out in the desert when they for $2,000 or something.
Now I don't know the exact I don't know the different budgets of the different films. I didn't look all that up.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's anything to note.
But once between the 2004 release of Tremors 4, it was 11 years to the next film, Tremors 5 Bloodlines.
Okay.
And this it was released in 2015. Jamie Kennedy arrives as Travis Walker. He's the comic relief sidekick.
Yeah.
Spoilers, I guess. He turns out to be Bert's biological son from a tryst Bert had in Florida years ago.
I mean, you don't really find that out till the end, right?
Right. That's like the last thing. He calls him Pops in the beginning, and Bert doesn't like it. And
he shows up to be the guy to help him grow his social media presence on his little honey channel.
Bert has a little survivalist channel, and he's like, don't call me a monster hunter. Don't call me this or that. I'm a survivalist. Yeah. I'm not a doomsday prepper. I'm a survivalist. And he's like showing people how to cook rattlesnake.
Okay.
And Travis Walker shows up and he's like, hey, I can get you. I can make you something. I can take your presence and make you international. That's his idea. And pretty much as soon as he shows up, this other guy shows up and says, hey, we have a problem with graboids in South Africa.
I was trying to remember how we got to South Africa. I know it happened in South Africa, but I couldn't remember how that leap happened.
They just kind of show up in South Africa. There's really no inciting incident as far as I remember that was like, well, this started them off. I actually thought it was a pretty good film. It was a lot better than I anticipated it was going to be. Production value is top notch. I think they did a great job, really all around.
This is again with ass blasters.
The ass blasters are in this,
and then you get to the thing where the tongues can run out on their own, right?
Yes, which I kind of felt, I was like, well, that kind of to me, since the tongues are being shown to have their own sentience, that kind of feeds right back into the idea that they turn into shriekers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have some pictures here. All forms get a massive redesign, and the narrative reason is things are bigger in Africa. That's the idea. It's just the African variant of the graboid.
I wonder why they didn't do Australia. Because Australia is where like you go and you find
really crazy stuff,
crazy spiders. Or you ever seen a tick from Australia?
I'm sure it's huge.
They're like the size of a dessert plate, and it's like, that's a tick. Yeah. Jeez, like, you have to kill that with a shotgun. We burn them with matches here, and it's like you got ticks down there. They're like frisbees.
So we see the graboids, we see the tentacle snakes that come out of the graboid and detach. We do not see shriekers.
I didn't think there were shriekers in that one.
But we do see ass blasters, which is weird that they don't show those. And the new shrieker design, like the new graboid design, just looks like a more aggressive graboid, really. But the new shrieker design almost looks like, new ass blaster design almost looks like just a shrieker with wings.
Yeah.
Because it's the shriekers the ass blasters that we saw before, these names, were like long, and they had like long beaks like a bird. Yeah. And these new ass blasters are kind of stout.
Yeah, they stand a little bit more like a shrieker.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if the idea is that maybe in other variations, like maybe this is a shrieker, and like maybe a graboid turns into 3 of these winged things. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We don't see these ass blasters. We don't see them regurgitate any others. All we know is that there is a den of eggs.
Yeah. And
this is the first time we really hear about anything like that.
This is the one with the cave and lots of eggs and stuff. And that's part of the story too. And they're like a little girl that's got an egg, and that's why everything is trying to attack them, is because
the people that were kind of hosting Bert and Travis, there was a man, a woman, a little girl, and the little girl got a hold of a little egg. One of the graboid eggs at one point, and that's why they're being attacked, because they want this egg.
I don't even have the characters' names. I know
No, I
the little girl's
either.
mom is like Black Laura Croft.
I totally thought the same thing. I was like, if Laura's father had moved to South Africa instead of England, that she would have been Laura.
She was dressed like her, had
Dressed
a bow.
like her.
She
even she even kind of resembled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have worked. But yeah, it's also one of the things that one of the developments they had for the ass blasters here is that they were nocturnal because it's so hot during the day.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. But then they came out during the day to try to get the egg. So it was kind of like showing the elevation of danger, because, these things that are nocturnal are coming out during the day, and why are they doing that?
Yeah.
Narratively, I think they did a really good job of just giving you a story, giving you a solid story, giving you good motivation for each of the characters, and paying everything off. A little bit of Jurassic Park feeling to it.
I was thinking the same thing with hiding the egg. The whole time the raptors are chasing the guys because he's got the egg in the backpack, and little girl's hiding the egg.
And they really aped off with the foot design of the new ass blasters. Is just it's a velociraptor.
There's a scene in there that's like them in the kitchen.
They're in the kitchen. Yep.
The thing's walking through, and it's
walking. It's clicking. It's not doing the click 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 click. The raptor had the one toe that they would click.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. That would have been a little too far, I think.
That was about all they didn't do there.
It really was. It really was
almost just like here's the scene, but with Tremors.
One of the things I didn't like about the new ass blasters is the face of them. Like their mouth was almost like vaginal, and then instead of having like the claw mandibles, they were almost like tentacle mandibles. That could have just been the bad CG.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't have enough memory of that to. I had some loose plot points that I remember from these, and number 5 is as far as I go down that road.
Yeah, these right here. They may have been like teeth, but they didn't seem very sturdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good after the reset, I'll call it, of Tremors 4. I thought it was a good way to kind of set the pace for the other films.
Yeah.
And the next film also had Jamie Kennedy reprise his role as sidekick Travis. At this point, I was hoping, because I had never seen Tremors 5, 6, or 7. These are the ones I hadn't seen. I was hoping this would be like the Jamie Kennedy trilogy. But spoilers, he's not in the last one.
Okay.
That kind of bummed me out. I'm not a big Jamie Kennedy fan, but I thought he did good in these films. I thought he was fine.
I can't offer anything on that because, like I said, my path stopped at 5.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what Jamie Kennedy's been in that I've seen. And
the Jamie Kennedy Experiment? Did you ever watch any of that?
I've seen him in a couple of movies, but that's it. I really can't. I want to say they're like sort of Johnny Knoxville type movies, but I can't even remember what they are at this point. But,
now there is a new character in this. Her name is Valerie McKee. She's played by Jamie Lee Money, Val and Rhonda's daughter from the first film.
Okay.
She's the one who, like, she sees all the telltale signs and she's like, we got graboids, and they're up in the Arctic. And so she's the one who calls Bert. I'm like, I think that's a good tie-in to the original.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first tie-in they have. This film really felt like, because it had a lot of small callbacks, even, I forget the exact line, but the line that Bert says after he and Heather kills the graboid in his bunker in the first one, you came into the wrong
rec room.
Something like that, yeah. He says a line very similar to that in this film. And there's a couple of other things where you could tell they're trying to like call one of them. I don't know the characters' names or the female female scientist name. Jamie Kennedy had her, and he was on top of a car, and he was trying to pull her up on the car, and the graboid came up, and the tentacle came out and grabbed her pant leg, and he told her, "You need to take off your pants." Call back to the first one. She's like, "I can't." I'm like, okay, so she can't because we're beyond that now, you know?
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I was saying when you were saying if the movie was made today. There you go.
Yeah.
But then there's a cheeky line where he's like, "Why not?" And she's like, "I'm not wearing any underwear." It's like, is that better? Like, is that better than her taking off her pants? I don't know. But anyway, so the movie is very much a callback to the original film,
Yeah.
and it does take place in the Arctic, but far enough south to where everything's melted. So it's not the first scene has snow, and then there's no more snow. I was disappointed in that. Don't call your movie A Cold Day in Hell.
If it's in the springtime.
Right. Oh, man. If they were going to continue with, and again, part of my complaint with Tremors as a franchise, they keep making them grow and change and all that. But like a furry graboid would have been fun.
Or just the fact that they shoot fire out of their rear ends is
The
that
fact
they could
fire.
tunnel through ice, and you could have all these like ice tunnels that they move through.
Now there's
But
there's no shriekers in this. There are like 2 ass blasters and some graboids. So like they're not really even following their rules of how many become how many.
yeah,
The shriekers are and the graboids are both more like Tremors 5 shriekers. I'm still not shriekers. Jeez, ass blasters and graboids. Like the creature design is more similar to the 5th.
Yeah.
So it's not. It became apparent that it's not so much that they are saying, well, the African variant is different. It's more that, well, we've just changed what they look like.
Yeah.
One other thing I didn't mention that they changed in the 5th one that moves forward throughout the other the other 2 films is the twisting motion. I didn't remember, like in the first film, they didn't twist through the ground.
Yeah. No,
they
they're
like
moving with the little
with the little spikes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So in this one, in these 3, they like drill through the ground. They actually twist their body and they drill through the ground. I'm not upset with that change. I don't know if it was necessary.
Yeah, the whole idea of the first one is you took an earthworm and figured out earthworms are slow and they can only move through kind of muddy, soft ground and stuff like that. How could you get one to move through the desert, give it spikes,
Right?
So it can propel itself faster? And that's just that dude from the nature stuff showing what existing animals could do and them kind of compiling stuff and it not having a hood over its head and having that like that turtle beak thing.
Yeah.
Gave it basically almost like a drill type head that it could just
power through,
more like a plow than a drill.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
let's see the only other thing that I really need to mention about this for narrative purposes is it turns out Bert got a parasite when he was inside of the graboid. Oh no! And all that.
How many years ago?
Exactly. I mean, this was when did this release? In 2018, and
He's had a parasite for 20 some years.
Yeah, and it's just now affecting him. I was disappointed the parasite didn't look like a little graboid, because when they were looking at it under the microscope. And so the plot of this is, well, they need to capture one because there's a gland inside of the throat of the graboids for some reason that has the thing they need to make the antibody.
Okay.
So they end up capturing the graboid, which was a fun scene. Jamie Kennedy took lead because Bert was sick, so that was just a way to get him out of there so Jamie Kennedy could like shine.
Yeah, and the fact that Bert's at that point probably 70 years old.
Right. And if both this one and the Shrieker Island, what I'll say is if you made it this far, might as well continue.
Yeah, I did not.
I do think the production design was good. For all 3 of these films, the last 3 films, I was surprised at the production design.
Yeah.
I think the directors did a fine job. I think the creature design was fine. The CG is acceptable.
The farther that you get to closer to current day too, the more you can do with low budget CGI. True. And probably is what kept my interest in like some of the shark movies alive, is that they've gone from being something that's just really, really bad looking, probably like number 3 and 4 of the series, to becoming believable enough looking that you can accept the fact that there's no prop, no shark, no anything here. It's just people splashing, and here comes an animated shark.
Right. And that just leads us right into Shrieker Island. This is the most recent one, released in 2020.
Okay.
That's 5 years ago. That's not that bad. And Jamie Kennedy, like I said, Jamie Kennedy's not in this film.
Still throwing them out 30 years from the original is
True. It's respectable. It's got some legs.
You have to respect their dedication at least.
Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot more than Nightmare on Elm Street got.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Yes.
That's at least something. Replacing both character and actor. It's not the same character. Jamie Kennedy is John Heder, Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, wow.
Which was surprising. I was like, hey, is that Napoleon Dynamite? The movie really wants to be a Predator film. It really wants to be a Predator movie. And that's on its sleeve. They even said at one point, they see the John Heder's character, Jimmy, no last name, just Jimmy. Jimmy was like, oh, cool. They see like Predator. He actually outright says it. Okay. They have, if the sound effect that they use for when you're looking through the ass blaster's eyes, the shriekers, they were shriekers this time, through the shrieker's eyes isn't the actual Predator sound effect, I'd be surprised, because you hear the heartbeat. Yeah. So the basic setup for this film is this guy Bill has genetically altered shrieker graboid eggs to make graboids and shriekers for rich people to hunt for sport on this island that they dub graboid Alcatraz or shrieker Alcatraz.
Okay.
And it goes bad, and so they need to kill everything.
Yeah.
There is like a queen graboid because they're genetically altering it, and it's fine. It's fine.
I think we're delving into the movies that I would turn on when I'm laying down at night.
Fall asleep too?
Fall asleep 10, 15 minutes into it, and if I ever got through it, it would probably take 5 attempts to do them 20 minutes at a time. But yeah, you got to respect their commitment to
the hustle,
to the CD, and then two, just acknowledging that if they've got a fan base, to keep on giving them stuff. If they still keep turning out for it and supporting it, then
this movie by far, Shrieker Island, had the largest cast. If you don't include like all the extras, like the tribal extras in the South African one.
Yeah.
But like the largest active cast. The cast did great. I thought the cinematography was actually really good in this.
Yeah.
And like I said, they wear their desire to be the Predator on their sleeve, and they do it justice. I couldn't have made it better.
You get again too to where you're 2020. You've got really nice handheld camera technology.
True.
That's not just some kind of crappy digital camcorder that they might have been doing back in the mid part of the series, to where you can shoot something that's more cinematic without a budget. And I mean, you go through some of the progression of low budget movies and things and see what some people do, that if they're good at having a vision or being able to set up scenes and stuff, that you can do some pretty cool stuff without much money.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a really talented film student, they can put together something that's probably on these levels for a few $1,000s.
Oh yeah, you see good quality stuff like this on like YouTube now.
What's the shark movie they shot for like $7,000? The couple just gets left by their scuba group, and the whole movie is just them floating, trying to figure out how to survive and get rescued.
I don't know. Is it open water?
Open water, yes. Yep. I think literally less than $10,000 to produce.
Oh yeah,
and it made hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Good on
them. Got a theatrical release and all that stuff, and it was just like,
you got me curious who the director of this is. Don Michael Paul, who is also
no relation to any of the original people, I guess, at this point.
Nah. I mean, he's done a lot of TV.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it. Oh, that's him being an actor. What about director?
Don Michael Paul. He's not related to
Hey,
Jake Paul, is he?
the Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh, well. Okay.
So he did some TV. Yeah, a lot of TV.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So beyond that, because I think I told you this, Tremors, the rights for Tremors has reverted back to like the original owners, but they got the rights to the original Tremors film, the characters, the creature, and that's it. They don't have rights to Shriekers. They don't have rights to Ass Blasters. That's it. Just Tremors.
Okay.
Kevin Bacon was going to reprise his role back in 2018. They were going to have a TV series that kind of rebooted the whole franchise.
Mm.
Sci-Fi Channel did not pick it up. There's a pilot that exists somewhere. It was in 2019 ATX TV Festival. It was screened there in 2019. Okay. There was going to be a series back in the late 90s after the first Tremors where Val and Earl were going to be like monster hunters fighting different kinds of creatures, not just Tremors. They were going to be fighting different kinds of creatures. That would have been kind of cool.
But it'd been kind of cool to have done the like the Hollow Earth thing that they have shoehorned into all this Godzilla stuff they've done, to where you could have found some prehistoric underground stuff and expanded it that way. That would almost be very anime type things, where you have a different kind of monster appearing here and there, and them just responding and figuring out what it is, figuring out how to kill it.
I mean, just spitballing here. There is a Tremors, a massive Tremors that's like deep underground, and the way they get to these different locations is just through soft earth.
Yeah. Go back into them, something bigger that causes tsunamis.
Yeah. giant Tremor coming out of the sea. There is a TV series. That's one of the things I'm going to be talking about on dessert. It did get produced. I don't know much about it, but I think, and I'll have to let you know, I think there's something to do with some sort of like mutagen, where at one point they were going to say that like the graboid is like a mutated version of multiple animals that's combined. That's probably going back to the geologist's idea of the animal. Well, this is from a snapping turtle. This is from a worm.
Yeah.
This is from an octopus.
Yeah.
And the buzz is that possibly Kevin Bacon might be interested in coming back and doing something with Tremors. So the series is far from dead, but we just don't know the direction it's going to go in.
At this point, the way people are just mining anything that they can find that existed before them.
Yeah.
I don't see how this doesn't get remade at some point, because they're burning through everything else so fast. They're gonna have to get there at some point. We're gonna remake Little House on the Prairie here at some point if they don't.
I would not be surprised.
There's not a lot of properties that have remained untouched, I think, at this point. So
in the end, even though Tremors kind of started out as a haphazard, slapped together kind of concept.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you wanted it to be the success that it did, I don't think you could have planned it. Like, it really was a series of just not even mistakes, just random things that kind of came together and aligned for it to be a cult. You can't set out to make a cult movie.
No.
You make a movie and it's either a flop, people never go to it, or it becomes like a thing that a small group of people get behind, or that people discover years later. That's just, you can't set out to do that. It's one of those, they're that way for a reason, and there's tons of them. We could probably do months worth of episodes of cult movies, cult films that all have their little followings and stuff like that. But
I'd like to know the demographics of old fans versus new fans for Tremors, because I don't know if I came to Tremors like today, I think I'd like the first film.
What I saw from, again, I don't know the time frame of them. It was a younger Michael Gross, but not a whole lot younger. Like, he looked like he did in some of these last movies, where they had footage of him talking to people at that little convention and stuff, where so many people were there, like a daughter and their dad, or a guy in their 20s. It's like I watched this. My dad showed this to me when I was a kid, and now I'm showing it to my kids. So it's kind of that. It's almost sort of like a traditional thing that you, like I said, it has kind of become a family movie.
Mhm.
And a lot of, if you go back to stuff that you see on TV now versus this is very tame.
It really is.
And but it's tame in a good way. Like, again, there's language that you don't want your kindergartner throwing out, but it's not as bad as most stuff that's on TV at this point. So the I think it has become sort of a, I watched this with my dad, and it was always one of our favorite things to do. So I'm going to do it with my kids, kind of thing. So keep it in print somehow, so they can get passed on again. It is pretty timeless, and there's no, everybody can understand the concept of a little abandoned town in the desert. It doesn't really date it, It's,
I definitely think at least the first Tremors. Well, I mean, really all of them. I think there's a timeless quality about them.
Yeah.
They do kind of bring in technology because Bert, he's big in the tech and the tracking and all that. At one point, like when they go to the Arctic, he complains that his GPS tracker isn't working, and she's like, "Yeah, no cell towers, man."
The first movie, it's just guns and CBs.
Yeah.
And there's not really, they're firing up old tractors and lawnmowers and stuff. There's not anything so much that dates that as much as there are guys that weren't some of the guys that get killed at the beginning of it working on a phone line.
Something like that.
That's probably the only thing that's going to date that. You're going to have at some point people saying,
What's a phone?
What's a phone
What's
line?
a phone line? What do you need a phone line for?
Is that where you had to wait in line to get your phone charged?
Yeah.
It's like, no. That's how we talk to people.
But I really feel kind of similarly about the future of the Tremors franchise that I felt about the future of the Ghostbusters franchise. The biggest disappointment is we won't be able to see Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon reprise their roles together.
Yeah.
Because Fred Ward passed away in 2022.
Yeah.
So that's a shame.
Not really a thing. I had a little thing about some of the actors up here. I didn't write down. I remember looking up stuff, and he did the what's that thing? The Adventures of Remy something. He had like one other movie, and other than that, he's just been a character actor in like some crime films and stuff like that. The Remo Williams or something like that. They sort of gave him a shot at being
like an action actor,
like the lead, and it just, a lot of people like it because they liked him, and it's not so much of a cult movie, I don't think, but it had a little bit of a following of people that just liked it because it was kind of obscure. But outside of that, I mean, this has kind of been his only thing.
I mean, it looks like he was working most years. He looks like he had jobs.
Yeah.
All the way up until 2018.
You just never really saw him in anything as prominent as this that I can think of. He's
right,
sort of like a bad guy henchman or something in like a low budget movie, or he was like either a mobster or like a police guy in a TV show or something like that.
Right.
So again, I'm sure they weren't thinking that this is the best movie we'll ever make when they made it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it generated the wealth that Tom Cruise gets out of a movie for them. But
they probably got a little bit in residuals because it was on TV a lot.
You always hear stuff, and you wonder how much of it is just people saying the things they have to say. That when we came together to make this movie, we're all like family and the whole crew. But this one kind of feels like one where it was kind of legitimate, where there's a lot of people that were kind of struggling through getting this produced and working with the problems, and all the actors. Kevin Bacon's wife was pregnant with their first kid in this. And like they were shooting a scene where I think like she called and called like the casting lady or something, because they knew that she was pregnant and about to pop. And I think his wife called and said, how many more takes do you have today? And they were like, hey, we kind of probably run through this maybe 2-3 more times. It's like, well, okay, when he's done, let him know that I'm going to the hospital. And I think like whoever it was sent like their little aide, and the aide ran in and it's like, your wife's giving birth. And he was like, bye, and he had to get in his truck and take off to go do that. So it literally was like a little kind of little small production group of people that it sound like it would have been a cool thing to be part of.
Yeah.
There's so many movies that I'm sure are not. you know,
I wonder if that it'd be interesting to go back and listen to the different like behind the scenes of the different cult films, because sometimes I think you can kind of see that heart in the film.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that the community has latched onto, is they felt that heart in the first film, and that's just drug them through the next 6 films.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Next 6 films last 30 years.
I've been to Lebowski Fest, and like I said,
Yeah.
I show up at a thing and sit next to some old people. I've bowled, I've bowled with Liam and the lady that is the lady at the diner that tells him to be quiet when they're arguing about the toe. She was in a wheelchair, but she sat at the lane with us while we bowled with Liam, my wife and I, and just people that just liked hanging around people and talking. And we talked about, I can't even remember. There's some alcohol involved, but all the fans were like that. You could just, if you're standing next to somebody in line, you just strike up a conversation. Where are you from? What do you do? Blah blah blah. It was kind of, those cult movies have that kind of group of people that they're not waiting in line to see Shatner like you are at a con and complaining about how long the line is and how much the cost of the thing is and don't you cut in front of me kind of mentality. It's just it's a cool group of people that are there because they all enjoy the same thing, and Lord knows most of the people that I've probably met at Lebowski Fest probably don't come anywhere near me on a political spectrum at all. They would probably not like me at all on that. But it's the nice thing about little cult films and pop culture things is that you can put all that aside and talk about something that you both like. And
that's what media is supposed to do. That's what these cultures are supposed to do. It's supposed to be bring us together, let us put aside our real world problems for a little bit and indulge in a little bit of fantasy.
A movie from 35 years ago that still have people that are sharing it and like to get together and talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Of a movie that was probably lucky that it got made, honestly.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm definitely glad it did. I've been a fan of the series since almost Inception. A few years after Inception, probably is when I first saw it because it was on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been enjoyable.
That was a me driving time, so very, very rarely did I see a movie in the theaters.
Yeah.
Back then, once I got a driver's license, I was like, I'm going to go see a movie. It's because it was a reason to drive somewhere. So I missed it in the theaters, but like I said, we rented it to the point that we ended up just buying a copy of it, and I can't even tell you how many times we had groups of friends over doing sleepovers and stuff like that when you're a teenager, and that we always watched this movie. Easily probably 10 different times we've had groups of people there between my brother and his friends and me and my friends.
Nice.
Just, you'd always pull this movie out. Like, what do you guys have copies of? We got this, and this. Oh, let's watch Tremors. It's my dad watched it. He watched it multiple times with me, and my kids love it. So I mean, hopefully
they'll force their kids to watch it too.
They'll pass it on after I'm gone, and they'll keep on watching Val and Earl.
Yeah. I think the first one will endure. Yeah. I think the rest of them will just be like they have been. It's like, they're there.
You get the person that's really into it. It'll be the thing that so many things that people like to grasp as their thing. Yeah. It'll be somebody I want to get this deep into the Tremors. So I know as much about it as anybody, and they'll watch all of them. Mm. If they do, they're beyond me because I'm at 5. I'll probably watch the other ones.
Yeah. Watch it at some point.
I'm not gonna power through them. I'll throw them in sometime just to see them.
All right. Well, that's it for our main course.
Yeah.
Our next episode is going to be desserts.
Desserts.
Yep. And we're going to just talk about stuff coming up.
And hopefully eat some desserts.
Hopefully. We'll talk about that when we come back.
All right.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you.